The Lois Oliver Show, and we're going to talk some real estate, and we're going to talk some helpful tips for those that already have homes or hope to get homes. Something to think about one of these days. How are you doing this morning, Theresa?
I'm good.
Good.
I had a little ice on the windshield that I had to take care of before I could get here, but I made it.
You made it, and well, and that's good. And of course, everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving, hopefully, and not Christmas.
Correct. I'm not ready for either one at this point.
I've seen an awful lot of Christmas decorations up around town, and I'm like, wait a minute, we have Thanksgiving to get through first.
Give the turkey its day.
Exactly.
That should be a movement on Twitter.
Give the turkey its day.
Give the turkey its day, hashtag or whatever you say and all that stuff. So let's see, who do you have with you today? Megan Thurman?
Megan Thurman. Megan has just joined our office, and I'll let her tell a little bit about herself because she knows more than I do. So
About herself, right?
About herself, yes.
I don't know, you didn't do the background check?
Yeah, oh well,
sort of.
I let the state do that.
Well, good. Well, Megan, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm an Artesia native, born and raised right here. We've been in Carlsbad for a few years, closer to my husband's job, but we finally made the trek back home and joined Theresa's group, and we're just excited to be here and be back involved in this little town we love so much. And we are, my husband and I just celebrated our 10th anniversary. We have an 8-year-old little boy. We're members at Faith. We're here. We're plugged in and just happy to be back.
Yeah, congratulations.
And how long have you had your license total?
I've had my license just over a year.
Yeah, just over a year.
Okay.
She
So
worked
year
with
and a
another broker in
handful of
Carlsbad, but decided she wanted to be closer so she didn't have the drive. So
Yes.
she's joined our team. So
Well, good.
We're
Good
glad to have her.
Good for you, and I know that fuel expense, not having that big bill is a big help, I'm sure.
It is, yeah. Just most of my clients are up here, and my home is here. My son goes to sports here, church here. We do everything here, and so just that little trek to the office every day was brutal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, but it did give you more time to listen to the radio.
It did. It did.
There's a couple things. I know it's against common thought. I'm a big fan of political ads.
I bet you are.
And I'm a big fan of long commutes, for other people, not
Right.
necessarily for myself. And so we'll talk to Megan here because I think we have one of your listings that we're going to showcase here in a
Yes.
little bit. And then, Theresa, we have Adam Madrid. It's right here.
Yeah.
Adam Madrid,
going?
Lieutenant Adam Madrid from
Yes,
the
sir.
Artesia Fire Department. And why did we want to have Adam in here today?
Well, with the cold weather coming on, we wanted to have someone represent the fire department to kind of tell us some safety things to be aware of during this season.
Yeah, so folks it's cold. So they're keeping the windows closed. They're turning on furnaces.
Right, knocking the dust out of all those vents that they weren't using because it didn't get cold till this morning? About what?
Yeah.
It depends who you ask.
Well, we even announced it here in the building the first time we turned on the heat. I told, and there's not that there's a lot of people here. I told Tana and Lana and Jeffrey, all right, you're going to smell the burning off of the dirt.
Don't be alarmed unless the alarm goes off, right?
Exactly. Well, and let's talk about that because smoke detectors have been around for a long time.
Exactly.
CO2 detectors are, I guess, a fairly new thing, but they've been around for a long time now. So what types of detectors should people have, and where should they place them in their homes?
Well, everybody should at least have a smoke detector. That should be a staple in everybody's household, just from a safety standpoint, whether or not you live by yourself or you have a family with kiddos. And main areas are in the kitchen, because that's where a lot of the kitchen accidents and cooking fires happen, outside of the garage and outside every bedroom, to alarm the occupants before any hazards get there. And to change those, at least, optimally, you want to check them at least once a month, but we know that that's not feasible with people. Everybody's busy nowadays.
Everybody's busy,
so
yeah.
a good reminder or a good timestamp to do that at is when the time changes. They tell you check your clock, set your clocks back. I know there are some clocks. I see one up here right now. Not everybody's electronic on their phones and their smartwatches, but check when you put your clocks back. Check your batteries and your smoke detectors. That's a good time to do that.
You're right. We're getting less and less actual clocks in homes anymore. Everybody's got the smartphones.
Yeah.
and-
You don't even have to do anything. You wake up and the time's changed for you. So,
Yeah.
but that's a good reminder to check those batteries and make sure everything's functioning and operating well. And that goes for your carbon dioxide monitors too, which is, they can say carbon dioxide is an odorless gas. So it's a silent killer is what you would call it. So it's extremely hazardous.
So how many CO detectors should you have? Is it the same as with the smoke detectors, or are there?
You can get away with just one CO detector. Typically, a lot of smoke detectors are a combination smoke and carbon monoxide. So if you can get that, that's definitely optimal. But if you have one in the household, that's a general rule of thumb.
Okay. Let me ask you this: if we're checking the batteries, or we should be checking the batteries,
You should be, yeah.
on a frequent basis.
You are checking the batteries.
On a
Just so
regular
you are,
basis.
okay.
That little chirp sound that you hear.
Just
is-
like whenever you take the trash out, you do check the trash out, right? Your wife doesn't
yeah.
have to harp on you for that.
No, she
Okay,
doesn't
yeah.
harp
See,
on.
so you check your batteries.
Yeah, check the batteries. But is there a lifespan on the detectors themselves? Should they be upgraded or replaced? Frequently?
Typically, you would just refer to manufacturers' recommendations, and it will state there on the box whether that's 5 or 10 years. They have a pretty good lifespan typically, but just when you're installing them or whenever you're checking them, check on the back. It should have a little expiration date or a suggestion of times to change them out.
Okay, because after a certain period of time, the device or whatever that's used to detect CO2
Either
or smoke
wears
may wear out, or
becomes saturated or whatnot. Exactly.
yeah. So the little chirp sound that you hear that when you walk into places, sometimes you'll hear that chirp, and that doesn't mean disconnect the battery. That means
Right.
put another battery in
Exactly.
there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's
I'll kind of interject there because doing rentals, the property managers at the office will go in and inspect, and that's what we find is they must hear the chirp, and they just take it down and don't put a battery in it, and that's there for a safety reason. They're checking that, so they're on them right after that. But we want to make sure all of our rentals are safe, and also the CO if we've got gas heat.
okay.
Do you put the CO detector closest to the heater? Is that
That would be okay to do, typically in living areas, like I said, or before a sleeping quarter, because like I said, it's an odorless gas, so
Exactly.
you can have CO run rampant in your house and be asleep and not know that. But you just have to be wary of those things.
last year I took a continuing ed class on this type of thing, and I came out of there paranoid. So I'm asking the girls, do we have this? Do we have, you check this? And so it made me check my own because I have an older unit. And that day I was red tagged on my older unit because it could have emitted the CO.
Right.
So it's a real thing. I've had friends that lost family members due to that.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
CO,
and
it is a silent gas.
It does
We
happen.
just
I've seen
ask
it before.
that you
so.
check them.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and if you don't have them in the house, get them, and then put them in and check them a couple times a
Yes,
year
sir.
to make sure that the batteries are working. They usually have a test button on there or something that
Absolutely.
alerts you to that. This time of year, people also start running space heaters sometimes.
Yes.
That can be a hazard if they're not properly handled.
Exactly. You don't want your space heaters close to anything combustible. Combustible meaning apt to catch fire, like curtains or sheets or clothes. I know a lot of people have children that they get home. If they're like mine, they get home, change their clothes right there on the floor, and if it's by a space heater, that's a fire hazard. So just make sure you have a clear area, roughly around 3 feet, around a 3-foot radius around that space heater, that is able for good ventilation and not close to anything that can burn.
Right, and then there's certain types of space heaters you don't want to, or heaters that you don't want to use indoors.
Right.
Because I'm sure that's happened. I don't know if it's happened here in Artesia, but it's happened around where they use something that uses fuel.
Right, like a propane or butane.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want anything like that inside a living area. Proper ventilation, things of that nature. Just stick to the good old-fashioned plug in the walls.
That's right.
Yes.
And then make sure the cords are not frayed or anything
Exactly.
like that.
Yes.
And the other thing that happens this time of year, people start putting up Christmas trees, and there's still a lot of people that do live or not live, but fresh cut trees.
Right.
That's another possible hazard if you're not careful.
Exactly. If you ever heard the term go up in flames like a Christmas tree, that's because if they're not properly cared for, not properly hydrated, a lot of times that becomes a fire hazard. If you have a dry Christmas tree, you want to keep that thing in water or spray the outside of the Christmas tree just to be safe. You know? But you don't see a whole lot of real Christmas trees anymore. But
I know. Pretty much artificial trees, but they themselves can even be. It's an electrical device. It could also be a problem too.
Yeah, it can be. But
You know, if you have
just
frayed
things to be worried
cords and
about.
things.
Exactly. Yeah, if you have animals or kids that are messing with them, so those are always good things to keep in mind.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: we talked about the smoke detectors and the CO detectors. What about fire extinguishers? What are good fire extinguishers to have in a house, and where should you have fire extinguishers?
A good fire extinguisher to have in your house, they sell them at Walmart, those little kitty fire extinguishers, and a good place to have them anywhere you're going to be dealing with any sources of heat, typically the kitchen, or if you're a handyman, out in the garage. But just a little $40 extinguisher should suffice for most unexpected fire emergencies, and if not, that's why we're here.
Right. Well, of course.
Yeah, we keep the big extinguishers, 500 gallons worth at a time.
Under high pressure. Right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll see on the number or letters.
Right.
What do those letters represent, and is there a specific kind, say, in the kitchen as opposed to in the workshop?
Exactly. Yes, there are. So your typical fire extinguisher is going to be an ABC extinguisher, meaning those are ordinary combustibles, things you find around the house, wood. The B stands for flammable liquids, and the C for electronic appliances. So any of those normal household type goods, an ABC extinguisher will suffice for that. Where it gets a little bit different is a grease fire in the kitchen. You don't pour water on those typically. Those are special agent. They're called Class K. K for kitchen extinguishers. Those are usually, but you'll find those more in commercial spaces. You'll see they have the big kitchen hood range systems, and those are tripped by sensors above whenever things get out of hand to automatically disperse that agent.
But in a home, would an ABC work okay?
Absolutely, yes. Just as long as if you're cooking and you have a lot of grease, do not pour water on it. That is the one thing you don't do. But if you have a normal ABC extinguisher, that should take care of it.
Okay. I wonder if that'd be a good gift for Christmas.
Yeah. Stuff my stocking with that fire extinguisher, please.
What are you saying about my cooking here?
Put this by the Christmas ham.
Yeah.
And the smoke alarm and the CO detector. Just stick it all in the stocking.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Theresa, I know you wanted to ask Adam about solar panels on homes.
Oh, I've heard different stories on the solar panels that they're hard for you to put the fire out if you have an electrical fire from them, and I don't know if that's false or true or just exactly what. And I know there's a lot of solar panels going up, so if you could tell us what you've come across.
Right, that's definitely something that's the new craze, right? Is we'll pay you for your electricity, right? So from a firefighting standpoint, really we want to focus on de-energizing the system. I believe there is an ordinance where every, I call them ESS, I believe, electrical storage systems. So those panels will get charged, and then they'll store them in battery banks. Typically, they're like a lithium-ion battery bank is what they are. But on that outside electrical panel, there should be a tag of where the location for that system, where it's located, whether it be outside of the house or inside a garage. It will tell you where it's located, and it will tell you where the shutoff to it is located, and that's just for first responder safety. So if anything goes awry with that, our main priority is going to be to de-energize that system so there's no form or risk of an electrical shock.
So if you're going to add those, make sure that your contractor's checking with what the city code is.
Exactly,
on that.
yes.
From a firefighter perspective, where would you like to see that cutoff switch?
That as accessible as possible. Hopefully near the main cutoff of the electricity breaker, and just wide out in the open, a bright color, whether it be red or orange, just so it's visible. that would be the optimal place for it.
Yeah, because you guys get there to put out a fire, and you see the panels up on the roof.
Yeah,
That's-
then it kind of changes things a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
you got to make sure that's disconnected. So, and something else that we're being told is going to become more prevalent are the electric cars.
Okay.
And have you guys started training and getting the foams and the materials to be ready for all that?
Not as much as we probably should, to be quite honest. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that.
I wasn't trying to get you in trouble.
But you know, just the rarity of it.
Right now, yeah.
There's still, you know, we still live in fossil fuel country, I believe. So, and I haven't really seen that. But a good rule of thumb, if anything is bright, like a bright orange or fluorescent, you don't cut it, because that's usually typical of a whole lot of energy that you don't want going through your body.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. And there's hybrid vehicles now. I mean,
Yes.
the Prius is one, and if you open up the hood, there's orange cables in there, and you're seeing more and more vehicles that have a combination of engines, gas engines, and battery systems. But more the pure electrics are going to be. We're being told
right.
that these are going to become more prevalent
A wave
around
of the
here.
future, right?
That's what they say.
Our flying cars next.
You know, they were supposed to be here. Don't you remember
Yeah,
Back to the Future?
2015. We're a bit overdue, I'd say.
We're a little bit overdue. But that's something to also keep in mind if you get one of those types of vehicles. I guess, you know, if it's in the garage when a fire starts, that's something that the fire department's going to need to be aware
Exactly,
of, because
yeah.
that could be another concern that you have to address when you're trying to put out a fire.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
So, and I guess the last question I would ask, we get to the end of the year, people like to shoot fireworks.
Yeah.
That's one of your favorite times of the year, right? 4th of July and New
yeah,
Year's.
that's a busy day.
So be careful with some of that, right? Because it's still
Exactly.
been pretty dry.
Everything's really dry right now. So just because it's cold doesn't mean it's wet. So
That's right. That's right. So, well, good. Well, do you guys have any more questions for Adam?
No, I think he did a great job.
okay, now is it my turn to ask them questions?
Absolutely. First for Megan, right?
All right, I got nothing. It was a bluff. You guys called it.
Because we're ready. Yeah,
Right.
you know, whatever you want to know, and I'm really good at saying I don't know.
Right.
So we'll look it up. Well, that's great. This is all good advice. And if people, can they call the fire department and say, hey, I'm concerned about this, or I have a question about that? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You can call the fire station. We actually have an entire division, our prevention division, primarily focuses with fire prevention and educating the public. So that would be in the hands of our fire marshal, and that's what he does. That's his bread and butter right there. So
Okay, so and the fire marshal is
Brendan Harvey.
Brendan Harvey. So
Yes, sir.
you can always
He's
call
got-
and
Yep.
ask for Brendan
Yes,
and
sir.
say. So if you got questions about smoke detectors, CO detectors, fire extinguishers, things
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Him and his assistant fire marshal will be glad to help you.
like that. Excellent. Well,
Or
that's
if they're not around, if they're not there, call the fire station, drop by the fire station. We're always on hand. We're 24/7, 365.
supposed to be, right?
Yep. That's what we're here for. So
Yeah, that's great. Theresa, you mentioned rental properties. I mean, if people have rental properties, who's generally responsible to make sure some of these things are in place?
Well,
Or-
I would say your owner.
Okay.
Your owner. I think that you own the property, and you should make sure it's safe by code. If you have any questions, just like he said, you ask, or, we go through ours periodically to make sure. We get lots of smoke alarms pulled down. They don't want to change the batteries, but, we snap a picture of that for our files, but we also get it taken care of. So, yes.
Yeah, that's
You want to
important.
protect the person that's in there.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to do, to make sure that those are done. And I've heard the chirps. I just don't understand pulling them down and getting rid of them, or flipping the battery out, or whatever. Just put another battery in there.
And I think some of them are hardwired into houses. I'm not an expert on all that. And then they'll switch over to battery,
right. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just good to have them checked out.
That's right. Well, good. Well, do we want to talk listings now?
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
You want to start with Megan, with yours?
Sure.
Okay. Jeffrey's going to put the picture up on the screen for those that are watching on the radio. And for those of you listening, we'll do a little description of it. So where are we, which property is this, Megan?
Okay, so this is going to be 15 Apache Drive in Carlsbad. It's actually about 10 miles north of Carlsbad in the McNew subdivision. So the McNew subdivision is a really sought after location in Carlsbad. It gives you direct access to BLM land, less than a mile to the river. You can take your toys, your horses, and just take off directly from your house and go play all day. You can go any direction for miles and miles. This house is a red brick house. It was built in 2014 and completely remodeled in a really nice modern farmhouse feel. It has a huge copper tub, a massive walk-in master shower with 5 rain heads. I mean, decked out on the inside. It's beautiful. There's 8 horse stalls there, ready to go, a little tack room, 2-car garage. It's all set on 1.74 acres. They have an additional 1.74 acres behind it that somebody could get if they were interested in having a little more space, a little elbow room, or a place to ride maybe. This one's currently marketed at $499,900. I always get that wrong in my head. No. We changed that, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
But it's a beautiful house, and it's available. The seller is willing to help buy down that interest rate that has everybody so scared right now, and for good reason. But they're willing to pitch in towards buying down that interest rate or closing costs or whatever a buyer might need to help them get in there. It's a beautiful home, so I'd like to show it and get it sold and help these people move on to their next place.
Do you have to have horses to want to buy this house?
You
or
don't
could there
have
be
to.
other purposes for the buildings associated with it?
Yeah, the barn has been set up for horses, but they're just started stalls, so it'd be pretty easy to change
Okay.
and do whatever else you wanted to do. The little tack barn's just a little storage shed, so it'd be easy to modify and change into something else. That's really all that's on this property at this time is those, just the horse stalls.
Okay.
But
Does it have smoke detectors?
it does. It does. Now I'm thinking I should go by and check the batteries on them all, but they're in there.
See what you started at?
Sorry.
Thanks. Now I got to make a trip today.
It brings up a funny, because when the weather went cold, we were all out checking our heaters in our houses, empty houses, to make sure they were on and nothing froze, because that's another thing we deal with.
That's no, absolutely. That is a concern, and I know someone in Roswell that they haven't been able to figure out how to get their pilot light lit on their furnace. And most of your modern furnaces, it's all electronic pilots, but there are still some older systems that still have and it's probably a good idea to have the HVAC people come and do that instead of you trying to do that on your own, so you don't wind up like Jay Leno, and start a fire and all that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, we still have one like that here.
Really?
Well, we call this our fully functional broadcast museum, so we could not, we can't have everything up to date. We have to have one older unit back there. And amazingly enough, it's been there the whole time I've been here, and it's been the most reliable system that we've had in the building. We haven't had to replace it or do any major work to it. Like we've replaced everything else, except that old beast back there.
Right. I would just say, too, to interject, to have your systems checked out once a year by a licensed HVAC or plumber on your water heaters, just for safety. I mean, our lives are worth much more than that call.
That's right. So be sure and get that done. Add that to the list, right?
Right.
Add it up.
Get that done. All right. Did you have another property, Megan, or was
That's it for
that
me.
was yours? Theresa, I think you have one. So Jeffrey, if you would bring up Theresa's listing, and we'll talk about this.
So this is 2303 Sierra Vista. I have shown this one once while I've been here on the radio. This one is 3,420 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Has a 2-car side garage, but it's also got a 2-car little garage shop at the end of that big long driveway. This has a pool, so that a heated pool in the backyard, and I think he had a picture of that. Why I wanted to showcase this one today, this, with the interest rates rising, this one has an assumable loan.
Ah, okay.
VA assumable loan, but you do not have to be a veteran to assume a VA loan. This is a 3.125% interest, and the current VA is about 6.5. So that's a big spread. So if you've got equity to put in, you could assume this loan and take up the payments.
Well, it looks
You
like
do have to qualify.
Okay.
So you kind of have to go through the same things you would on a new loan, but you would have the beauty of having that lower interest.
So you're assuming an existing interest
Mm-hmm.
rate and not having to start with a current interest rate.
Right.
Well, that'll probably save some money in today's market.
Yes, it would.
That'd be a good deal.
We
Okay.
would love to show you this home. It's a fun home. There's a great big room that for entertaining, and it just is right off that pool area. You can see the door in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Bedrooms are large. It's very open. It's in the Loma Vista area.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. And of course, if you go to the website, Lois Oliver
Realestate.com.
.com, and
You'll
you'll see
see
all
that one.
all the listings. This one and Megan's listing and everything.
This one's
else.
priced at $497,500.
Okay. Well, but doesn't have the horse barn,
No,
but it has the pool.
that's right. Just whatever you might need.
Whatever you might need. Well, that's great. Well, is there anything else we wanted to mention?
I think there's one more.
Oh,
on there.
okay. You have one more, Jeffrey. If you've got that ready to go, I'm sure he does, because I sent him the emails,
Yes.
Yeah,
so we should have it ready to go. So Jeffrey's getting listing number 3.
It's, well, I'll just tell a little bit about
Okay.
it. It's 6414 Seven Rivers Highway.
Okay.
That one is on acreage. It's on 5 acres. It's a brick home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It was built in the 60s. It's been completely remodeled and updated. The fun part about this one's got a 50 by 60 insulated shop with overhead doors.
Oh, wow.
It's a great area you could pull your RV in. It's got a loft in it also, so I noticed she had her goodies up in that loft area, and he could have the bottom area.
Yeah.
But if you want in the country, it's just south of Artesia, and it's a beautiful home, ready
Okay.
for a new family.
And that one is listed for
$575.
$575, and it has acreage and a
5 acres.
5 acres and a big barn, if
Yes.
you will. So check it out at loisoliverrealestate.com, and congratulations to Megan for joining the Lois Oliver Real Estate team.
Thank you.
I know you're looking forward to helping folks here in North Eddy County and all that.
Yes.
And Lieutenant Adam Madrid, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good advice. And are we sure we don't have any questions, or you don't have any questions for us?
I think I hear the tones going off. I gotta.
Back to coffee.
I'm here for another 46 hours.
All right. Well, was there? We cover everything today?
I think we did.
Well,
Thank
good.
you for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
And happy Thanksgiving to all of you, because we're not forgetting Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
right?
That's
not.
right.
No, we're
Happy
not.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
everybody.
You too.
All right. And
Thank
we'll be
you.
back, I guess, in 2 weeks.
2
First of December, right?
That's correct.
For our next edition. And of course, we'll always post all these up on the social media channels if you want to go back and watch at a later date. Thank you so much.
Thank you.